Service safe.
Outside the mic. Outside the mic.
Hello and good evening. This is Outside the Mic.
Outside the mic. Good evening.
I just wanted to feel like a news anchor.
Oh, I gotcha.
Any shout outs this week, Marty?
We do have some shout outs this week. Easton, Betsy, Michael, and Jeff. And Jeff actually, Jeff always gives some really good feedback. We love Jeff, and he is so into music, and he always knows something about, whatever the subject is. It almost seems like every time, though he has admitted there's been, which is why he enjoys Outside the Mic, because there's things that he has learned, but a lot of times he has some personal knowledge or information about the subject we're talking about. He reminded us also. So thanks, Jeff. We appreciate that, and we appreciate the Instagram post. He also reminded me, and we forgot last time, that we lost somebody in the music industry, Charlie Daniels.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The good old country boy.
Yeah. Charlie Daniels died on July 6th, just last month.
The devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal.
You didn't get Charlie's right away.
He was way behind.
He was a little behind. He didn't get Charlie's till like he was 83, unless he was walking around without a soul.
Ooh.
Which I kind of doubt, because he out fiddled him, didn't he?
Devil, rousing up your bow and play that fiddle hard.
Keep it going, Jared.
I don't know the rest of the words.
And this shiny thing of gold. And if you do, the devil gets your soul. We know the lyrics really well on that song, don't we? I found it interesting, and just a little bit of history about the personal life of Charlie leading up to his death on July 6, 2020. He did live to the ripe old age of 83, which is very cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Charlie, and I never heard about this, in 1980, January 30th, while digging fence post holes on his farm. So Charlie was a successful...
He was a country boy.
Yeah, he was.
He didn't just play that fiddle. He pounded that post hole.
He did. You'd think somebody like that maybe would hire somebody, but no, Charlie's out there digging fence posts himself. I'm sure he had some help, but he suffered, however, 3 complete breaks in his right arm and 2 broken fingers when his shirt sleeve caught on a spinning auger.
Ooh.
It could.
I mean, it broken, but I feel like it could have been a lot worse. It could have been like, his arm could have been like hamburger.
Well, exactly.
Right?
You picture that, and I'm sure it was. Can you imagine? And then it's stuck in there, and somebody's got to.
This is why I don't even touch chainsaws. I mean, I'll be the first man to admit that there are some things that I try to stay away from: snakes, chainsaws, anything that might not allow me to play music anymore is pretty much just a no-go.
I'm glad you don't work with snakes.
Well,
it's a good choice.
I threw that in there because that's my ultimate fear.
I think you've brought up snakes before.
I'll
Jared.
bring it up again. You don't like snakes.
My son has a snake, and I might have to bring it in one day just so we can see Jarrett's reaction. It'd be kind of like the spider, I would imagine.
I don't like... Well, spiders are okay.
Like
just
a girl?
the ones that come out of nowhere.
Okay. You're sure? You're
like
okay?
It happened.
If I had a tarantula and I just set it right here and it crawled over, you'd be fine with that, maybe?
I don't think anybody would be fine with that.
I would be fine with that.
Well,
I think. I would be. I'm with you, though. I mean, a spider. Spider. Spiders can be scary. Spiders can be poisonous. But an auger, I think, would be worse.
Sure.
Yeah. So during a doctor visit, on continuing with Charlie real quick, in 2013, he was diagnosed with a mild case of pneumonia, and they found out he needed a pacemaker.
Oh, boy.
And they installed a pacemaker. So from 2013 until just this last July when he passed away, he had a pacemaker. So he was doing pretty good with that, too. Charlie dealt with some stuff and was still, you find that. We talked about deaths and artists whatsoever, but I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that doing music makes you live to a ripe old age as well, because it just gives you something to do.
Oh, yeah.
You have a creative outlet.
It adds years.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Okay, so this day in music, August 10th, 1963, 13-year-old little Stevie Wonder started a 3-week run at number 1 on the U.S. singles chart with Fingertips Part 2, making him the youngest singer to top the charts. Stevie Wonder.
Whoa.
Wonder.
Get out of here with that. Okay, August 10th, 1964.
Wait. I'm sorry. Go back, though. Tell me that one again, because I love
you
Stevie
weren't even
Wonder.
listening. You
I
just
was
wanted
listening,
to get your
but I was
Wonder.
I was being silly.
1963, August 10th, 13-year-old little Stevie Wonder started a 3-week run at number 1 on the U.S. single charts with his song Fingertips Part 2.
13 years old.
Making him the youngest singer to top the charts.
And it was at number 1.
Number 1.
In what year?
1963.
That's the year I was born.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. But you
Probably
were born
shouldn't
in...
admit that,
You were
but-
born in March, right?
I was born in March.
Yeah, okay. So just a few short months after you were born.
And what was the name of the song again?
Fingertips Part 2.
I'm just fascinated. I didn't know he was. I knew Stevie was a child wonder, like a prodigy, but I had no idea he had a number 1 song at the age of 13.
13, yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Okay.
Okay, next
Onward.
one. August 10th, 1964, Mick Jagger was fined 32 euros in Liverpool for driving without insurance and breaking the speed limit. His solicitor explained that Jagger was on an errand of mercy, driving to see 2 fans injured in a car crash. Oh, well, that's kind of cool.
Wow. Was he?
Maybe they were
Does
on their way to a show, got in a car accident. He was like, oh, hold the phone.
Yeah.
I got to take care of this.
You sure he wasn't just making that up? He just had that story in his back pocket in case he gets pulled over?
I mean, you have to trust everything you read on the internet.
You do. So there, that answers that question. Thank you.
August 10th, 1968, Tom Jones went to number 1 on the UK album chart with Delilah.
Tom Jones and Delilah. I don't know that song.
Okay.
I might have to take a peek at that song because I bet I would remember it, but it's not popping into me head right now.
Absolutely. August 10th, 1969, during a North American tour, Led Zeppelin appeared at the San Diego Sports Arena. Jethro Tull was the support act. August 10th, 1970, Elvis Presley played the first night of a 4-week engagement, playing 2 shows most nights at the International Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, we got all sorts of. We got Stevie, we got Elvis.
We got some big names happening today.
Yeah.
Elton John, August 10th, 1976, played the first of 10 sold-out nights at Madison Square Gardens in New York City. I don't know why they have in the New York City.
And that was 70 what?
76.
Okay.
The
bicentennial.
Yeah, there you go. The 1.2 million generated from the shows broke the record set by the Rolling Stones in 1975.
Oh, so we tie the Stones in there again. He was what a meteoric rise, to use that catchphrase. Because Elton played. Did you ever see the Troubadour documentary?
I saw the movie, but I've never seen the documentary.
Okay, what's the movie?
The Elton John movie.
Okay, that movie. So the Troubadour is a separate thing, and there was
That's a club in L.A.
L.A.
Yeah.
And it was a launching pad for a lot of careers. And there's a documentary, and I forget the name of the title of the documentary. I probably referred to it before. But it was hosted by Carole King and James Taylor. And it talked about Elton coming over the pond. Mm-hmm. And that was his first U.S. appearance at the Troubadour. And literally from that point on, there was just, you saw that in the Rocket
That's
Man
in the
video.
movie, yeah. They do a pretty cool, crazy interpretation of that point in time.
They do.
His whole flying off the piano thing.
Yeah.
And they like slow-mo and he's all flying.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. He's actually like flying above the piano, which I don't think they had ropes. They were just doing that. So
You're right.
They were just making it look like he was having a meteoric rise. Or some kind of...
way to bring it back.
Levitation rise, maybe. That might be what happened. He was levitating, I think.
August 10th, 1985. You're going to like this.
Okay.
Money for Nothing by Dire Straits peaked at number 4 on the UK single charts, notable for its groundbreaking music video and a cameo appearance by
Sting,
singing the song's falsetto introduction and backing chorus, I want my MTV.
Oh, I knew we were going to be off when we finally hit that final note. That just does not reflect too well on. But, it's just impromptu. But I love that song. I love Sting, obviously.
Who co-wrote that song?
He co-wrote what song?
That song.
He co-wrote that song,
Money for
too?
Nothing. It says, Sting, who also co-wrote with the song, Mark, how do you say his name?
Mark Knopfler.
Knopfler.
I did not. See, I love learning something new on Outside the Mic. I did not know Sting had actually co-wrote the song. I thought he just sang the background vocals. Mm-hmm. Did you know there's an interesting story about that with Sting as well? The song, I thought I told you this before, but I didn't tell you outsiders, and maybe you've heard it. One of the, I think it's in the part where he says, he goes, I want my MTV. His record company, whoever was the record company for the police, and it's not coming to mind, it might have been IRS Records or somebody, somewhere there was a lawsuit over publishing because they said that melody was from Don't Stand So Close to Me.
That does sound a little too close.
It does. And I think he says, too, he says, don't stand so. I don't think he repeats the don't stand so, but that part. And I'm going to have to fact check that. I'm not going to do it right now, but to find out if there was actually ever any litigation.
But it's his song. I guess maybe the other members of the police could go to bat.
That's just it. I'm sure he wrote the song, but there was probably some shared publishing rights between him and the record company, perhaps. And I don't know how that ever ended. And it was probably, there was some sort of settlement on that.
Okay.
And Sting was involved in another one.
To follow suit with that, with what you just talked about. August 10th.
Follow lawsuit with that.
Zinger. August 10th, 2016, Ed Sheeran was being sued in America over claims that his track, Thinking Out Loud, rips off a Marvin Gaye song. And I believe that song is, this is the family of the man who co-wrote Let's Get It On.
Yeah.
Says it copies key parts of the track. Ed Townsend's relatives were asking for a jury to decide if they were owed damages. Come on. At this point in music, we are all copying something we've heard along. I feel like I just watched a video on this. Well, I don't know if it was a documentary, but they pretty much just said, by this time, melodies and chord structures have been used throughout music over and over and over again, that we're getting to the point where, of course, this is going to sound like that because it's in the same key with the same chord, and the melody might be similar, like what you said with the Sting thing.
Right.
We're getting to the point where, of course, things are going to start sounding the same. There's only so many combinations that you could put together.
That's a good point. However, there is going to be a line that gets crossed occasionally.
And there's blatant cases where it's like, all right, brother, this is too close.
Yeah. Who was the one in Sting recently? There was a guy who did a rap song. I'm going to feel dumb for not remembering it, but it was using Sting's song. It was using one of Sting's songs, which had a very, very obvious, we're going to fact check this later, really obvious guitar track. And my son was playing it for me. And immediately the second it started, I was like, that's Sting's song that he's using. Yeah. And apparently this guy released this and he did end up having to pay.
Sure.
Because he literally I think he actually lifted the track itself.
Sure. And that's pretty common in a lot of pop and rap stuff, is they will sample music, oftentimes with permission, saying like, hey, I love this intro part to your song or whatever. Can I put it in my rap song? And cool. And a lot of times big name artists from the past be like, sweet, and then I'll come in and be featured in the video or something, so it seems like we did it together or whatever. That's a big thing. But then there are times where it's like, no, that's this song, and you know it, I know it, everybody knows it. Yeah. Busted. Which was the case. And I remember the song that was called Shape of My Heart. Okay. Which was Sting. And that's not the shape of my heart. Yeah, so there's lots of variables. There's lots of situations that can occur with that, obviously. But I did not realize the one about Ed Sheeran. I hadn't heard that before either. Okay, your favorite band, August 10th, 2007, Spice Girls. Oh, thank you. Emma Button from the Spice Girls gave birth to a baby boy called Beau at London's private Portland hospital. Button and her partner, Jade Jones, a former member of defunct boy band Damage, had been together for 8 years. I literally don't know anything about what I just said. Baby boy Beau? Baby boy Beau. Yeah. That's, we can move on from that one. That's fascinating, though. Thank you. Sure, congratulations for your little boy. Okay, last one here. We've got August 10th, 1992. Def Leppard kicked off the North American leg on their 248-date, 7-day weekend world tour at Madison Square Garden in New York City.
Date again? Give me it one more time.
That would be August 10th, 1992.
Wow. I got to see Def Leppard.
You've gotten to see a lot of bands that I wish I could have seen.
Well, I don't know.
AC/DC being one of them.
Yeah, a lot.
With Bon Scott. Sorry to interrupt you again, but that's a big thing.
My very first concert ever. I think I was probably a sophomore in high school or a freshman. Got to see Cheap Trick and AC/DC with Bon Scott, which was very cool because I do believe he probably died that year. It's possible. I mean, it was really, really close. And that I am going to have to look up because it was super close to shortly thereafter when I had seen him. Yeah, 1980. And I think I saw him in 79.
Oh, my gosh.
Pretty sure.
That's crazy.
He was an amazing singer. An amazing singer. I mean, it was great that they were able to have the amount of success that they did afterwards anyway with Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, if you look at the songs, it's a different sound, but way to go AC/DC for rocking on anyway.
Keeping it on, yeah. So that's it for today in music history. Okay. Do you want to go next, or should you want me to just jump right in? I've got something just brief we can talk about. So it's a fun thing. It's an appetizer to, I think, what you're going to be talking about.
Kind of like your little thing last week?
It's not as game showy. It's
Grammy.
More... Okay. Thank you, Google
I had
girl.
to sneak a few in. It's not as gamey as that.
It's not as game showy, yeah. So we're going to be talking about crazy tour riders. Do you know what tour riders are?
I don't know what a tour rider is. Is it like a ghost rider in the sky?
Not as cool. So a tour rider...
riders in the sky.
Easy there, Cash.
Okay.
Tour riders. A tour rider is a document that includes a set of rules that a performer sets as criteria for a performance. Okay. This includes all requests or demands either for the artist's comfort or the technical details needed to perform.
M&M's come to mind.
Yeah, so the first one, everybody's heard this one, and you're right. So Van Halen had a very specific rider in their note, and it says, all the brown M&Ms are to be removed from the band's communal candy bowl backstage.
And so did you happen to notice if this was actually factual?
This was factual. Well, okay, I don't know. I can't say that I was there. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But my sources, I got it from insider.com, legit, and then also Business Insider.
And I wonder which member. Was it Eddie? It seemed like...
Who knows?
Might not have said it, but it seems like that's what
it was. The communal bowl.
Yeah.
Have you ever been able to really, and this might be a topic for debate, have you ever been able to taste the difference between the colors of an M&M, or do they?
Certainly not.
No. I am guilty of just grabbing a handful and tossing it in.
Yeah, I don't know if food coloring has a taste. I think that's mainly what you're dealing with.
But sometimes when you look at a color, you can taste the color. You can associate it with.
Maybe
it's like more of a mental thing rather than it is like a taste bud thing.
And that's pretty powerful. If I grabbed an orange one, I might think I'm tasting orange, but I've never actually had the experience of putting it in my mouth and going, oh yeah, that one tastes different. I just always think they taste the same.
You know what? Thinking back to my childhood, I remember preferring the blue M&Ms.
No kidding.
Because I have no real reason why, other than I like the color blue.
Well, there you go. And I think I liked red ones because I liked the color red, especially back then.
Maybe brown just brought a very disheartening taste. And they said, no more.
No more. Somebody didn't like the color brown, so okay.
Okay, next one.
Onward.
Pharrell, oh man, I'm butchering this guy's name. Pharrell Williams. Anyways, he has that song, Happy. 'Cause I'm happy, clap along if you feel like a... Okay. Yeah. He requests, you got it, that his dressing room contain a framed photo of legendary astronomer Carl Sagan. Do you know who that is?
I do know who Carl Sagan is.
I'm going to fill the outsiders in. Carl Sagan was an
imitation of him, but I don't know if I...
Does he sound like that?
Billions and billions of light years away. That's as close as I'm going to get right now.
That's... Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I would believe billions.
He actually, the movie Contact with Jodie Foster, did you ever see it?
Nope.
It's an alien encounter movie.
I would assume so since he's an astronomer.
Yeah, and we talked about UFOs. Great movie. If you haven't seen Contact, watch it. It was based on a book by Carl Sagan.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. So Exactly. Not only was he an author, but Carl Sagan was an American astronomer and planetary scientist.
Right on.
I almost said planetary. What was I about to say?
I have no idea with you. It could have been anything.
Astronomer, planetary scientist, who is best known for his scientific contributions to the research of extraterrestrial life. He and that dude from Blink-182 need to get together.
Well, he's not alive anymore, so...
Well,
that
then they don't need to get together.
You could maybe orchestrate a seance for them and have that happen. Jarrett.
He's the first scientist to send a physical message into space with the intentions of reaching potential extraterrestrial intelligence. He had developed some sort of, I don't know if it was a sonic sound or if it was something like that, but he thought the aliens will be able to interpret this and we will be able to make communication with them.
Wow.
I don't know if it ever worked.
It seems like I've heard something along those lines. I really, not that I was that astute that I did a lot of digging into, Carl Sagan's life and a lot of his work, but I was always fascinated by Carl Sagan. And whenever I did happen to see him, I found it very compelling. And just the fact that I really liked that movie and I liked his book. I liked Carl Sagan a lot.
Williams, a quote from him says, I watched Cosmos, not Carl. This is for Pharrell Williams, the guy that has the picture in his dressing room. Pharrell, whatever.
Like a
Williams is quoted as saying, I watched Cosmos as a child, and I was always blown away by Sagan's mind and the way he thought. When I look at his picture, I realize how lucky we all are to be on this planet and be able to do what we love to do every day. Seeing Carl's face inspires me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was kind of what I was just saying a little bit.
Yeah.
Just something about Carl. He was a good dude.
He was a good dude.
He sure seemed, I don't know any, backstory on him, but yeah,
sure.
Seemed like a good dude.
All right. Our next writer that we're going to mention is Beyonce. Beyonce demands that her dressing room be kept at 78 degrees and asks, this is weird, for chicken legs and then all caps, heavily seasoned. Not the KFC dried out crap. This is heavily seasoned chicken legs.
To eat.
She likes them seasoned with cayenne pepper and also prefers in her dressing room rose-scented candles.
My, oh my.
She explicitly requests to not have any Coca-Cola products anywhere near her. She can only be seen with Pepsi products due to a contractual agreement. Beyonce.
These things are just kind of... Can you, if you were in that position today, you're a successful touring musician, would you have any special requests? Could you think of something that...
That's
maybe
funny you were asking me that because I was going to ask you that at the end. But we'll start with me and then you can go.
And we think alike. That's good.
I would request that a taco truck be present at all venues.
Okay.
Because you never know when you need a little carne asada. Or the guacamole.
That would be it. Little taco truck.
Well, I'm just hungry right now, but I probably could think of more. What would yours be?
Well, I'm just trying to think of general creature comforts, and I don't feel like I'm that demanding. I certainly wouldn't have anything goofy like M&Ms or, I don't know, chicken legs. But I guess if the sky's the limit and you could have anything, I don't know. I would have some, I guess, just foods I like. I like lobster. It'd be fun to have some lobster around. Not that I would need to eat lobster all the time, but it would probably be more food related. And then I would just want to make sure that wherever I was, obviously it would be, comfortable. Like, not like in here, we actually don't have an air conditioner. But creature comforts, water, I'm not that demanding. I wouldn't be, It's almost like it makes you wonder if, after a while, they just get bored and they're like, I can ask for anything I want, so now I'm going to make sure that there's a blue and white striped towel hanging on my chair.
Okay, so you mentioned that. Let's dive into some specifics. Adele requests exactly 12 small bottles of non-carbonated spring water at room temperature, 1 electric kettle for boiling water, 6 large mugs for tea. All mugs should be new, washed, and dried. 6 metal teaspoons and 2 squeezy bottles clear honey, specifically not organic.
Not organic honey?
Not organic honey. And she also requested no citrus be on site.
It's interesting because usually people if it's going to be a preference, you would request something be organic. I wonder why she requested being not organic.
Don't know. She likes them preservatives. It adds a little extra to that honey.
I guess I've never thought of organic being super important with honey, because you have bees which kind of wander around anyway. And I don't know if they're getting wild clover or they're going to get...
Well, and I think there's something in non-organic honey, because when you get organic honey or you get straight from the hive farm,
yeah,
it gets crystallized pretty fast, and so you have to keep it, warm it up to get it to stop being. So you know what I mean. You've done that before.
I have luck with that. I guess it's in the winter though, when it's generally a little cooler in your house. Then that happens. In the summer, it seems to do well.
Yeah, but store-bought honey, like the little bears.
Yeah.
They don't typically crystallize as fast or at all.
Oh, because they add water to those, too.
Well, there you go.
That's what I've heard. I saw a big special on the whole honey industry and honey wars or whatever the heck is going on. But there's always something. Anytime something gets big enough and you get a bunch of money and then you get a bunch of bureaucracy and then you find out that somewhere somebody's being treated really badly as a result, which is sad. But I saw something like that on honey, and it was about adding water to honey, watering it down. I get mine local. Local honey is obviously the best, because then it's actually healthy for your immune system, your allergy response, and all that stuff, because it's things that you may be exposed to locally. So.
Today on Good Eats,
yes, thank you,
with Marty Meyer,
which by the way, this isn't a mini episode anymore.
We're sitting at 33 minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to make it fast. Here we go. Paul McCartney.
Which is okay. But
all lamps must be halogen floor lamps with a dimmer switch. Only animal-free materials and no artificial animal furniture.
Okay.
6 full leafy floor plants, but no trees. Must be as full on the bottom as the top. 1 large arrangement of white Casablanca lilies. And 1 large stemmed arrangement of pale pink and white roses. 1 arrangement of frisas. It comes in of various colors, so mix them up, please. 20 dozen clean towels outside of the production office for Mr. Sir McCartney.
Really?
But
that's a little disappointing. I mean, I like Paul. He's one of my favorites.
I thought you were disappointed in my
no, it was fine.
my accent.
Dialect was great. Spot on, Chatty.
Spot on, Chatty.
You know how your name is pronounced in Spanish?
Tell me.
It'd be like Jarrett.
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 See, every time I do it, it just sounds like a mad German. Jarrett.
Yeah, kind of does.
Jarrett.
Maybe you just are a mad German.
I am.
I think you might be. I guess the longer you've been doing it, like Paul, maybe it just gets to a point where you realize years and years and years, it's like that one time when I had this, I really liked it, so now I want that every time. I guess I won't be too judgmental.
I mean, once you reach
these,
the star status of Paul McCartney, you can have Casablanca lilies in your dressing room, and nobody's going to think anything else of you.
Yeah, you could get a little eccentric.
Absolutely.
And yeah, if it makes him happy, then don't worry, be happy.
But that's all I got.
Don't worry.
Just a couple notes. Beach Boys requested that there's
happy.
recycling on their during a bunch of recycling bins around their tour sets. James Brown needed a full-range professional hooded hairdryer for his hair and the upkeep of his hairs.
Well, he had some pretty cool hair. So
Wow, check out my hair.
yeah,
Get back.
I was wondering if that was real, but I guess it was real.
Apparently it
Must
was.
have been real.
That's it. That's all I got for the tour riders.
Wow.
There was plenty more, but I just grabbed a few.
Tour rider, yes, and of course that is spelled R-I-D-E-R, right?
Right,
Rider,
like
not
a writer.
I think that's why I got confused at first.
They also narrowed it down more. They would call it a hospitality rider, which is just
Okay.
a list of things that would comfort the artist either leading up to or on the day of the show.
You know what I think would be fascinating?
What?
To see if, because when you first said it, I thought you were saying tour writer, which is W-R-I-T-E-R.
Sure.
And I wonder if there was such a thing, because if you were touring, some of these groups that didn't write their own songs, maybe they brought along a tour writer to try out new songs while they were touring. Do you think that ever happened?
I think you're thinking too far into this writer thing.
I don't know, Jarrett. I think it would be a really cool double meaning. I'm just going to Google tour writer and see what comes up. Ooh, it's a one-word thing.
You're
Tour
too
writer.
excited about this.
Nah, it's not what I thought it was. But tour writer news. I think it's people that write about like vacation tours and stuff like that. So it could be something like that. Not what I was thinking though.
If we were playing baseball right now, you would have just you'd have just batted us out in the left field right there.
I might have just bunted.
Bunted.
I would
There you
have
go.
done. I would have just like, boom, and not made it to first base after all. So, I mentioned on the last episode, which was a full episode, that there's always some synchronicities that happen with us. And we had covered the song Good Riddance by Green Day from the episode American Idiots, referring to ourselves there and to their Broadway play. And later that week, I saw a documentary, and it was about Glen Campbell. And I wasn't a huge country fan growing up, but there were songs which definitely caught my attention from time to time. And when I was probably about the age when, I think I was about 7 when Glen Campbell was really just starting to explode on the scene. And I know at my dad's garage, they had a Ford garage in the little town of Hovind, and there was always a radio on, and I think it was generally country radio, so I heard a lot of these songs there too. So I was actually, and Glen Campbell was a crossover artist anyway, so his stuff wasn't just country. It would usually find its way to the pop charts as well, something like Galveston, By the Time You Get to Phoenix, Wichita Lineman, all those songs. So we saw there was a documentary called I'll Be Me, and it was about Glen Campbell, and it talked about his last tour. He was diagnosed in 2010, late 2010, with Alzheimer's, and he did a goodbye tour, which started, I think, a little bit later that year. His final show was November 30th, 2012. But as I was looking up information, the documentary was fascinating because here you have a guy who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, is obviously dealing with dementia symptoms, and he was able to tour. And what they found was as soon as he got that guitar and got in front of that microphone and in front of a crowd, it was like there was a part of his brain, and the doctors weren't even exactly certain how this worked, but he would, he did have a teleprompter, but he would be able to perform these songs.
Wow.
They were just, it was like there was a different part of his mind and his soul that would come alive and start firing on all cylinders.
That is awesome.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It's really, it's sad, but yet it's also inspiring to see that he was able to do this. They did have to cut it a little short because it was progressing, and towards the end, he did have some moments where he would get a little upset on stage or forget a lyric or something, and then he would start over. He would start the song over. But it was very neat to see how his audience still loved him and were, obviously forgiving of those kind of circumstances.
It's out of his control, so that you could show him some support, man.
Yeah, got a little verklempt almost there, Jarrett. But I loved Glen Campbell. I loved his songs, and what I realized when I was, here's something that I did bring up before, the coincidence that I found out while Googling later, because you always have to start Googling and looking up information after you watch one of these, because if you're fascinated by an artist. He had covered the Green Day song Good Riddance as well.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, and I don't have that pulled up here. I did want to play a little piece of that. It's more of a country kind of a, I don't know if it's honky-tonk, but it's a real upbeat, almost a bluegrass
We'll
kind
see
of
if we
feel
can
to
plug it in afterwards.
Yeah, I think we might have to do that because it's really a cool version. But there you go, again, a synchronicity where I just happened to see the documentary. We just covered the song, and here Glen Campbell's covering the song. The song that really got my attention, though, was Wichita Lineman. Do you know that song at all?
I have heard it a few times.
Or I've talked about it, but previously.
You've talked about it previously, but then I think I have heard it.
Yeah.
It has kind of an eerie sound to it a little, right? Am I hearing
Well,
that
it's
the right
got a
one?
descending line.
Yeah.
And it does switch from a major to a minor key. We won't get too music theory here, but what I discovered, because that song was like an earbug after watching that, I couldn't get Wichita Lineman out of my head. And I looked it up, and I realized that the person who wrote Wichita Lineman is somebody that I had been aware of because he's a well-known songwriter. His name's Jimmy Webb.
Oh, sweet.
He also wrote Macarthur Park, and I'll forgive some of you if you don't know Jimmy Webb or even Glen Campbell or Macarthur Park, because this is back a ways. I would assume most people know about Glen Campbell. But that song, it was just fascinating, and there was a fascinating story around it, how Jimmy Webb had wrote a song for Glen Campbell, By the Time I Get to Phoenix, so they requested another, they call it a place song, about a place. Mm-hmm. And he said, I want another place song because that one did well. So Jimmy's writing it, and he lived in an apartment where he had an old piano, and his roommates, as a joke, had spray painted his piano green.
Oh, jeez.
It was supposed to look like frosting from a cake because in the song MacArthur Park, which is a very famous song, even if you haven't heard of it, it was a very famous song. It was a big hit for a lot of people. He talks about a cake. And so he was trying to write this and the keys were sticky. They had spray paint on them. And he's sending them this song, which I don't know back then, you can't just send an email. So I'm assuming maybe you would actually play it over the phone to
That
them.
might be
And
it.
then you would...
Or did they have little tape recorders? Remember, all of your little radios always, you could record onto tape, but you could use the microphone that was attached to it.
I'm guessing because you didn't even have fax machines back then.
I'm thinking maybe it was cassettes a thing back then? Because that's what I'm referring
Yeah.
to. All the little cassette
Yeah.
players, they always had a record, and there would be a microphone, and you could record yourself.
But he would have to do it because he wasn't there at the studio. So he would have had to have some way. I just realized I'm getting off our mic here a couple times. But that's an interesting thing that I would like to look into because obviously there was that line of communication somehow between a songwriter and a studio.
Sure.
And I'm not sure how that worked, but however it worked, they were able to get a chart and get the song from Jimmy. And he told them it wasn't done. So the song Wichita Lineman has 2 verses. He wanted to write a 3rd verse. And instead of a 3rd verse, Glen Campbell did a baritone guitar solo.
Okay.
But they loved the song so much. Glen Campbell is quoted as saying when he heard the song for the first time, he cried.
Oh.
And they recorded the song. The producer was Al DeLong, I think was his name, and he did an incredible string arrangement. And then later, they didn't even tell Jimmy that day. And he saw him like a week later or whatever, and he goes, "Oh, I guess you didn't like the song." And he said, "No, we loved it. We recorded it."
Huh.
And he's like, "What about the 3rd verse?" And he's like, "I did a guitar solo instead of that."
instead.
And the rest is history, folks.
When in doubt, solo out.
Yeah, legendary song, extremely legendary song, and it's one of the most popular country songs of the entire century, I guess, as you would call it, before the turn of the century. One of the most played songs on country radio, and I think it also crossed over to pop as well.
Wow.
Wichita Lineman. So do you want to hear just a couple lyrics from MacArthur Park real quick?
Sure.
Because I think you'd find these entertaining.
I'm game for anything.
This is a part, I'll tell you about the part for the why they spray painted the piano. I don't know how they came up with green, but this is kind of an interesting lyric. Actually, here, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to play you just a little bit of piece of the song. This is Glen Campbell with Jimmy Webb live. Not Wichita Lineman, which I believe we'll find out more about Wichita Lineman here in a bit, but we want to hear Glen Campbell doing MacArthur Park.
Do it for all the folks that stood out in the rain in Chicago Labor
In
Day.
Chicago.
Jimmy Webb's fabulous MacArthur
Labor.
Park.
Thank you, Glenn. I'm Glen Campbell. It's got a long introduction. It's got that cool descending line.
Spring was never waiting for us, girl. It ran one step ahead as we followed in a dance.
Sound familiar?
It does sound familiar.
Between the parted pages and word.
What a voice. What a beard. Glenn had. Wow, that's why I've always hear you sing, and I think of Glen Campbell.
That's right.
There we go. Spring was never waiting for us, girl. It ran one step ahead as we followed in the dance. Here's a line you're gonna like. Between the parted pages and were pressed in love's hot fevered iron like a striped pair of pants.
Like a striped pair of pants.
Whoa, spot on, man. Maybe we're going to have to cover this song. And here's the part about the green piano. MacArthur's Park is melting in the dark, all the sweet green icing flowing down. Someone left the cake out in the rain. I don't think that I can take it because it took too long to bake it, and I'll never have that recipe again. That's a really famous stanza.
About cake?
Well, here's what happened. A lot of people throughout the years, and as I was researching this song, have been, what's up with the lyric from MacArthur Park?
Yeah.
What's the meaning? What's this all about?
It's almost a Hotel California thing. Like,
Exactly.
they're so cool lyrics, but you're like, what the heck?
And they compared it to Hotel California in that respect.
Okay.
Where eventually the Eagles just said, it's just a bunch of stuff we came up with. It doesn't have any big, giant, significant meaning or interpretation. And what Jimmy Webb said is with MacArthur Park, he was basically writing he had broke up with a girl, and they used to hang out in L.A. at Macarthur Park. Did you ever go to Macarthur Park in L.A.?
I did not. I don't think I did.
I think I did. I think it's kind of close to downtown LA. I hope I'm not wrong, somewhere in that area. But basically, he was just writing about actual observations that he made while they were in the park. And somebody had actually left a cake
There was
out.
a man who was walking, and he was wearing a striped pair of pants.
Not the exact lyric, but he saw a guy wearing a striped pair of pants. He saw birds like tender babies and an old man playing checkers by the trees. And it's kind of, if you listen to the song, it's just these little tidbits of observations of him hanging out in MacArthur Park.
Imagine a third-party person looking at Jimmy as he's writing this, and he's like, what's that dude doing? Just looking at birds.
Yeah.
He's just writing something down. Now he's looking at that guy with those weird pants on.
Maybe they thought he was a peeping Tom.
Maybe.
I don't think it'd be that unusual for a person to have a journal and be writing in a park. Though.
But just-
it might have been while he was there with his
I just
girlfriend,
imagine
too,
him
so.
like circling or like in a 360 motion, looking at everything he sees, and then there's just some other dude who's like, he's slurping down a hot dog in the park, and he's like, what's up with this guy?
Does it say slurping down a hot dog? in there?
Slurping down a hot dog in my striped pair of pants.
I got a challenge for you, Jarrett.
Okay, I'm ready.
I want you to go and sit in our park and then come back with a song. But there's got to be something going on because it might be a little slow.
I can tell you what
our parks,
that'll be
but-
about. Here's going to be.
Okay, good.
There was a car that drove by then, another car just drove by. Now I saw a car drove by, and it's a
Wow.
striped car.
What are you saying about our park here, Jarrett? Is that all that happens?
I'm just saying, I've
Is a
been to the
car
parks,
going by?
and you just people watch a little, which I guess is what he was doing. But
Now I see some teenagers on their phones. They're not looking at each other. They're just staring at their hands. How about something like that?
and they had a striped pair of pants.
And the hands and pants. And they had some really short, hot pants. I don't know.
On a really hot day.
Okay. You're dismissed from that
Okay.
assignment now.
I'm going to go buy me some striped pair of pants.
I think you want to. I do want to mention one more thing about Jimmy Webb. This is definitely a full episode, folks.
Let's just
but,
count it full episode.
yeah.
Should we just do
We
this a
might.
full episode?
I think we
say
might.
we just do it.
I think
and we
we
just
might.
do a mini the next time.
I think that's cool
It
because
happened.
who cares,
Yeah,
really? It's an
yeah.
episode. As long as we release an episode,
If you guys
do
are cool
mind?
with it,
I
we're
think
cool
so.
with it. Everybody's cool with it.
Okay.
Let's just do it.
What do you guys think?
We're listening. Hello.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. Oh, you gotta do it. We love you. Whatever.
Oh, you guys. Oh, that's nice.
Cool.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
In fact, I'm just to try that one more time really quick.
Striped
I'm gonna
pair.
what do you guys think if we do that?
Yeah.
Really? It's okay then?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Do you
what
like
about,
the show?
Yeah.
what about you? What do you think?
Yeah.
Do you like Marty's pants?
Yeah.
Or I could just do
Yes.
yes.
Yes, I do.
I wonder
Yes.
if you put it with an exclamation point, does it make a difference?
Yes.
Oh, it kind of did maybe.
Yes. Yes, it does. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes. Okay. As long as you guys are fine with it. Here we go. So back to Jimmy Webb. Something I wanted to mention about Jimmy Webb. He is not. Sometimes you wonder because if you look at him back in the 70s too, he looked like any cool, like James Taylor, long hair, got the beard. He had a pretty good voice.
We'll post a picture of him on
We
Facebook
might
so you
have
can
to,
see.
but he didn't really make it as an artist, a performing artist himself. He didn't have an unsuccessful career in that regard, but he was much more successful as a songwriter, composer. And some of his songs, I don't know, this goes way back too, but I always remember Up, Up and Away in My Beautiful. Do you know that song?
No.
You don't know that one. By the time I get to Phoenix, Wichita Lineman, Galveston, he had a lot of songs. He worked and collaborated with Glen Campbell, Michael Feinstein, Linda Ronstadt, The Fifth Dimension. Have you ever heard of The Fifth Dimension?
Nor have I ever been.
Oh, Jarrett. Have you been to The Fourth Dimension, Jarrett?
I drove through.
Okay.
I wasn't crazy about it.
Art Garfunkel, Richard Harris, he was very successful. But the very coolest thing, I think, about Mr. James Webb, he is the only artist ever to have received Grammy Awards for music, lyrics, and orchestration.
Ever?
Ever.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that in
I could have
itself,
used him on the Grammy, no Grammy.
You could have, and I would have known though because I already looked.
Grammy,
up,
no
so.
Grammy, don't punch my Grammy.
Grammy, no Grammy, don't punch my Grammy. Did you know Glen Campbell was an incredible guitar player? We did talk about that last.
We
time.
did talk about that, and yes, and I think, well, when you mentioned Jimmy's hair, I was thinking you did show me a video of Wichita Lineman, and he didn't have crazy hair, but there was that crazy cool guitar solo. So I'm familiar with his guitar playing. Yes,
he was actually take my pencil out of my mouth. He was a session musician. That's how he started out in L.A.
Oh yeah,
and he played on recordings by the Beach Boys, Bobby Darin, Frank Sinatra, Ricky Nelson, Dean Martin, Sinatra.
Holy buckets.
Nat King Cole, the Monkees,
Unforgettable.
Merle Haggard.
Mama tried to make me better, but I pleaded 99. Go for
I
it.
might have to stump you on a few of these. Nancy Sinatra, hit it, Jarrett. Downtown, da 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 da. No, I think that's the wrong one.
I was getting to that.
No, hers. Where these boots are made for walking,
And
that's
I
what
walk
I'm
all
gonna do.
over you.
You know, that was Nancy Sinatra. Jan and Dean, Bing Crosby. The list goes on. Anytime you know a song, just
Teach
pop right in there.
your children well,
Very good.
because they
Is that
might just have a spell.
Sammy Davis Jr. Doris Day.
Shoot. No.
K, Sarah, whatever. The Everly Brothers, the Cascades, Paul Revere and the Raiders, Wayne Newton, the first. I mean, isn't that amazing? He played on.
I could definitely not do songs for all of
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm impressed you did as many as you did, to be honest with you. But what a legendary session player turned. And sometimes they are able to translate that and transition into a successful career as a performing artist. Obviously, Glen Campbell was able to do that, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't forget about old Glen Campbell.
Glen Campbell. I'm going to look up... Do you have anything else that you could say while I'm looking up Glen Campbell's version of Good Riddance?
I don't, but I have just enjoyed the freedom of this episode. It started as a mini, but we're going to just roll with it as a long one. I think that's cool, just being able to talk about music. If it got long-winded, I'm sorry, but I think it was a cool. Everything was transitioned well. I really enjoyed learning and listening about Glen Campbell, and just everything that we bantered. All matters music here.
Well, it's fast.
Most matters
We
music.
did
Mostly matter
mostly.
about Glen Campbell.
We had a
matters.
discussion about that, but anyway, we won't go there right now. But mostly, I like that point that you brought up, Jarrett, because it did feel like that. At first, I was a little concerned when I saw us hitting half hour, but I remember when we first started doing this and we were concerned about filling the time. Obviously, now the concern is having too much.
Reel it in, boys.
Reel it in. Let's reel it on in. And our computer didn't glitch out on us, too, so that's a good thing.
That's always good.
Here's a little bit of Good Riddance by Glen Campbell. We're going to listen to that, too. I don't know if we'll take us out with that, but we're going to listen to it. Could turn up. You can see it's bluegrassy.
Yeehaw!
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. Make the best of this test and don't ask why.
I'm waiting for the band to really kick
It's not
in.
a question, but a lesson learned
I think
in
they're going to
time.
here pretty soon, though.
Something unpredictable, but in the end it's right.
I guess that's probably enough.
I hope you have
Let's
the
see.
time of your life.
There we go. I was just waiting for that bass drop. That's what I wanted. That sent some shivers up my the bass drop.
Boom chicka, chicka, boom chicka, chicka, boom chicka, chicka, boom chicka, chicka. Not a turning point. Hey, I was gonna go into it.
We both sang a different part of the song at that point, but that's a pretty cool version, huh?
That is very unique. That's cool. I did not know that.
Well,
I don't know why I had to stutter about it, but I did not know that.
Yeah, that's all, folks. I'm amazed at how many people have covered Good Riddance. There's a lot of covers of that song.
Yeah, it was a pretty popular song back in its day.
Yeah, he
which is
did
only like
well
10
with
years
that
ago.
one. Speaking of which, though, when you do something, and we were a little concerned as far as covering songs or playing pieces of songs that are published, you had thought, we had read that if you did 30 seconds or less, you'd be okay, but we already got tagged on a copyright claim on YouTube, And it was less than 30 seconds. So
They're bringing us down, boys.
Yeah.
It's been nice knowing you.
The man's coming down on us.
Big Brother's coming at us again.
I think we'll be all right. It just says we can't monetize that video, but
You mean we can't make money off it?
Yeah, like all the money we
We've
were
been
making
making
on
so
it.
much money. We can't even get money off of that.
We can't get our money for our 50 views that we had. It wasn't that one anyway. It was a different one. So
Well, this has been a fun episode.
this has been, and I
Thank
think
you,
that's,
Marty.
yeah, that wraps it up. Other than, I do want to, whether it's today or another time, we're going to do Wichita Lineman.
Oh.
Because that song means
Okay,
a
let's do
lot
it.
to me, and it's such a well-crafted song from my perspective as, and I think anybody who is somebody who's written songs and then you perform songs, you always look at a song not just about how you feel about it when you hear it, but then when you start to break it down and you kind of see what they're doing.
Yeah.
He did some cool little tricks in there, going from a major to a minor to another different major key and stuff like that. So,
Whoa.
yeah, cool song. Way to go, Jimmy. And Jimmy's still alive. Shout out to you, Jimmy Webb. He's still
Well, you
alive.
have been listening to Outside the Mic. Again, I am Jarrett Weimer.
And I'm Martin Meyer. Keep listening. Thanks for listening. Check it out on OutsideTheMic.com, and all streaming podcast platforms are going to be releasing a new website soon. Right, Jared?
That's right.
Right on.
Right on.
Keep an eye out for that. Thanks, Outsiders.
Take care.